Howdy, guys, and welcome to night number one of Big Brother 24's overnight feed recaps. And welcome to Cliff Notes, broadcasting from a long way away from the Big Brother house. All right, it's here. My favorite time of the year. We've got another season of Big Brother to talk about. I'm incredibly excited. I like this cast as well. I think it's going to be a fun season. So, for those of you who are returning from overnight feed recaps of the past couple of years, welcome back. I'm happy to see you. For those of you who are new to it, let me give you a quick summary about what happens in here before we start talking about the what happened overnight. The idea behind these videos is to give you a quick, say 15 or 20 minute quick recap of all the key things that happened overnight while most people are asleep, but I'm up and watching. Now, I gotta say this season the cast skewed just a little bit older, and I thought maybe that would mean that maybe they'd go to bed just a little bit earlier. If night one is any indication, I'm going to need a whole lot more coffee tonight or every night, because as I record this, they're still awake. No one is going to bed. We'll see if they pay the price for that later, but they have stayed up all night long. I finally had to call it quits and go ahead and put this together. But that's what I'm going to do, 15 to 20 minutes. Now, the beginning part of the season, it may be a little bit longer just because there's so many house guests, so many conversations taking place. But the idea is to give a very brief summary of what happened so you can listen to it, talk to your friends, family at work, school, etc. So that's what we're going to do. The other thing I want to emphasize is I try to keep it positive in here. Yeah, when things happen, I'll certainly mention them, and we'll talk about the chaos and people dragging each other and all that. But I'm going to try to keep it positive in terms of the judgments that I'm offering in here for as much as possible. So keep that in mind as well. And with all that being said, it's night number one. So let's talk about what happened overnight. A lot of conversation since no one's going to bed. Most of the conversations are just getting to know each other. Heck, just trying to remember each other's names. That was one of my biggest fears, my first night in the house. My two biggest fears: one, remembering everyone's names. Two, was I going to snore and get everyone mad at me as a result? Well, if you don't go to sleep, I guess you don't snore. So we got that. But lots of that kind of conversation. Now, we had some gameplay talk too, some strategizing. We've got a final two alliance already. So we'll certainly talk about that as well. But before we do, let's talk about the episode itself and what happened. Just very, very briefly, the episode. Daniel, the Las Vegas performer, became HOH. He won his initial competition. What'd he do? He was hanging from the hanging from a t-shirt. Won that competition. Put a drum set puzzle together first. So Daniel is their HOH. Pooch, I guess we're going to call him Pooch until I hear differently. Pooch happened to grab the pass that turned out to be the backstage boss pass for the festival this week. He's safe. He's safe from everything. He doesn't have to make nominations. He doesn't compete in the veto competition or any other competitions if they have them. We don't know yet. He also does not vote in the final eviction process. So he's kind of hands off this week. Now, he had to make a call. He had to pick three people to be backstage VIPs with him, which has some implications. And he picked Alyssa, Paloma, and Brittany. I know there's some talk that picking three women maybe wasn't the best choice. He tried to pick based on who finished their competition, each of the three competitions in last place as best as he could. So he did get a little blood on his hands doing that, but now at this point, Pooch is safe. He can't be nominated as well, so he seems like he's in a decent position, perhaps. Alyssa, Paloma, and Brittany, we don't know just yet. America gets a choice to vote to protect one of the three. We're not quite sure how the other two will be affected come the eviction episode next Thursday night. We'll find out. But there you go. So that was basically the episode itself. And with that being said, let's talk about what happened overnight. The feeds came on at about 9:30 Big Brother time, 11:30 Central Time, about 9:30 or so Big Brother time. Almost immediately, we see Daniel come out of the DR room with a little bit of announcement. Not sure what it is. Turns out Daniel has to pick four people to start off the have-nots for this particular season. We didn't start have-nots until after the whole camp comeback, my battle back. So we were well into the season before we had have-nots. Not this season. Right off the bat, Daniel has to pick 4 have-nots. Kind of a tough position because you're really penalizing someone when you do something like that. Daniel is lucky because Daniel immediately gets people volunteering. It turns out they've got volunteers. Joseph, Michael, Monty, and Kyle all raise their hands and say, yeah, we'll go on slop. Slop have not means slop all week long, cold showers. You have to sleep up in the have not room, which they don't know what it is yet. But we do have the 4 guys that volunteer to go upstairs and be have nots. Now, 4 guys up there, and Daniel's already HOH, so he's going to be upstairs as well. 5 guys upstairs hanging out, bonding with each other. I think the ladies have to be careful a little bit, and we'll talk about that as we go into the evening. But I can certainly see those guys all bonding a little bit with each other, and even if it's not officially an alliance, it just gives them a good opportunity to kind of grow up and make some connections and some commitments and things like that. So we'll see how that works. But we've got 4 guys that are all going to be have-nots this week, and they're all laughing about that. We do have later, we've got Daniel and Monty and Joseph in the storage room. Monty and Joseph are 2 of the 4 have-nots, and they're trying the slop that's in there. And just so you know, nowadays, the slop that you guys, not just slop, you've got slop, you've got gluten-free slop, you've got soy slop, all different kinds of slop available. So they're in there trying out the different slop recipes. And Daniel mentions to him and says, look, I'm so grateful for you 2 guys. I think he's talking about them volunteering to be have-nots. He says, I'm so grateful for you 2 guys, and I won't forget it. You know, that's pretty good. These 4 have-not guys, I'd be surprised if any of them are nominated when it comes time for Daniel to make nominations. I think they'll be okay. We'll see. There's a lot of games to be played, but I think that's the case. So with that being said, they get to go upstairs. Everyone goes up and explores the have-not room. Turns out it's basically looks like an empty swimming pool. It's in the upstairs room down the hall from the HOH room that we've had for the past couple of years. Same have-not room location. It's an empty swimming pool. Everyone's going to be sleeping on floaties, little pool swim things, which that may not be too bad. They've got blankets and pillows to go on top of it. Here's one thing about the have-not room. Yeah, you don't want to be up there because it means you're on slop and cold showers and all that. The have-not room, though, is incredibly cold, temperature-wise, thermostat-wise. Start of the year when it's hot outside, summertime and all of that. Sometimes it's kind of nice being up in that room. You get a little colder temperatures, a little bit easier to sleep sometimes. So empty swimming pool is a have-not room. Everyone looks at it. And I think it'll be okay for these guys. It's not too bad. At that point, we get everyone heading back down, hanging out in the kitchen. I was watching the body language, watching everyone. Everyone seems to be doing okay at mingling. I didn't really see anyone who spent the entire evening off by themselves, not talking to anyone else, keeping their arms crossed. Seems like everyone trying to rotate around and talk as best as they could. Terrence spent time talking to Daniel right off the bat. It's important to be talking to the HOH. He's got the power, right? Terrence spent some time talking to Daniel. Brittany spent a lot of time talking to Daniel. Shared love of music, common love of the Hanson Brothers band from the 90s. Bop, baby. Yeah, no singing. But now they talk about Hanson Brothers musics and musicals and everything else. Brittany spent a lot of time talking to Daniel. We'll see if that pays off. We had a few fun stories. Nicole was telling a story about it. She was when she was a kid. She in Florida. She was a pageant. No, you're not a pageant queen. She was talked into entering a beauty pageant, Ms. Junior Orange Bowl or something. Had never done it before. They had a sportswear category. Everyone else shows up wearing preppy sportswear clothing. I picture tennis uniforms and things like that. She shows up wearing a basketball uniform because they didn't know what sportswear was. And she talks about how she kind of stood out because of that. And embarrassing at the time, but I can looks like she appreciates the humor of it now. But she told that story. Monty tells a story about going over to Germany and trying to get into an office with his badge, and the woman's talking German, blah 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 blah. Will Smith, blah 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 blah. And he thought that was funny that's how she was describing him. So we do have some people telling some stories, and yeah, everyone seems to be getting along pretty well at this point in time. Someone at one point, and I think it may have been Paloma, mentioned the veto competition on Sunday. I think there's just some guessing within the house. They don't even realize that there's not a show necessarily tomorrow night. There was a lot of discussion on that, but she says maybe a veto competition on Sunday. Yeah, I think it'll be Saturday. There was some interesting talk at one point. A lot of lighthearted talk for the most part, but there was an interesting conversation for just a little bit between Nicole and Terrence and Monty talking about representation and how Terrence says, I kind of like that. I saw, talk about last season, and he felt like there's representation and inspired him to go ahead and try it as well. And so they appreciate that we've got such a range of diversity in the house this year. And they mentioned it a little bit and kind of had a bonding moment over that. We've got Paloma. Now, remember, Paloma is one of the three backstage women who may be at risk. We don't know just yet, but Paloma is in the bathroom. She's doing a little flirting, it seems like, with Kyle and Michael and Joseph, and just trying to stay in touch with them and everything. Finally, about 11:15 Big Brother time, we get the HOH room reveal. They all go up there, they check it out, and it's a cool HOH room. Now, I did notice they've got a brand new bathtub, which is nice, a nice looking tub, but there's no door or barrier or anything between the bathroom shower area and the main room. They've got like beaded curtains hanging down. You can see everything. There's a lot less privacy than we get in some seasons of Big Brother with that. But all in all, it seems like a decent room. Being the first HOH is often the case. Daniel does not get a letter from home. He doesn't get pictures. He does get some snacks and some wine that he's very excited about. He gets his music. Just for those of you who are interested, it's the album Currents by Tame and Paula. Don't know that I know any of the music, but I may have to check it out and see. Let me know if it's good band, good album. But that's who Daniel gets for his music for the week. We had a little bit of game conversation start. This is the first I really saw. Had a little bit of game conversation. Pooch and Monty were whispering in the bathroom, like actually by the bathroom area, the toilet section, talking a little bit about Joseph and saying, Joseph seems okay, but is he going to get on people's nerves, or, is that going to be an issue or not? So we already have these two guys maybe singling out Joseph just a little bit. See if that goes anywhere. I did notice at one point Daniel is talking to Kyle, and Daniel's playing dumb about his Big Brother knowledge. At one point he says, I saw something on YouTube that sometimes you may have to hang, like doing endurance, hang from a wall or something. Wow, isn't that crazy? Well, we found out later, Daniel's tried out 10 years in a row. Daniel knows Big Brother, but he's playing dumb with Kyle, acting like he's a newbie to the game and everything else. So he's playing a bit of a role right there. We've got Daniel. Daniel's 35. We've got Daniel 35 talking to Nicole, who's 41, and Terrence, who's 47. So the three older players in the house, they're kind of bonding with each other. They're talking about their age versus the others and how that may affect them and what they thought coming into the season. And Terrence mentioning that he was told, you're going to be the oldest, and that put him off a little bit at the time, but he's okay with it. I've cheered you on, guys. I've always cheered on the older folks in the house. I hope you can fit in and do well. I think they will. I do think they will. Eventually, I was watching to see who was the first person that was going to give up and leave the HOH room. I thought it was going to be Indy, our contestant originally from Brazil. She was ready to go, but eventually everyone heads off because they got pizza waiting for them downstairs. Now they got a spread of fruits and some meat deli tray kind of things. Does not look like any actual formal meal was ever cooked. The kitchen downstairs, or the dining table downstairs, still had all the place settings. Didn't look like they'd been touched. So no one's eating. It's been a busy day for these guys. Someone mentioned that they had to be up. I think Nicole mentioned that she had to be up at 5:30 in the morning. So I'm sure all of them were up at about that time. It's been a long day for all of us. But they do have some pizzas waiting for them downstairs. So they go downstairs for the pizza. So everyone leaves the HOH room. Now I did notice that Indy was the first person to get Daniel alone in the HOH room. After they ate a little bit, he went upstairs. She went upstairs with them. I didn't really hear any game talk. It's just her kind of interacting with them a little bit. A little bit later, we've got all the guys minus, I think, Daniel and Pooch and Terrence. So the other 5 guys are in the storage room. They're talking about how weird it is to have these cameras 24/7. Yeah, it takes a little while to get used to it. But the main thing, they're just bonding. They're just sitting there broing up and talking stuff and everything. They do it at one point. They're laughing that the toilet seat in the bathroom won't stay up. If keeps falling down, making it a little difficult for them to take care of business. So they're talking about that a little bit. While they're doing that, meanwhile, the girls are unpacking their suitcases. Most of them are in them. I don't even know what to call these rooms yet. I'm going to call it for right now the Jetsons room, the very back bedroom. But a lot of them are unpacking their suitcases in the Jetsons room. They've all gotten their suitcases. They've got about 24 hours to get everything unpacked. Then they've got to turn the suitcases back in and actually be moved in and all that. So they're taking care of that. I'm sure the guys are going to wait till last minute. They're doing that. Indy's going to be our first entry. I don't have anything to do with it, but Indy's probably going to be the first entry into Wiki Feets because she lifts her feet up, shows everyone how dirty her feet are, and they're just black. Walking around barefoot in the Big Brother house probably the best idea because it's not probably the cleanest floor and it doesn't take long. So she's showing everyone how dirty her feet have gotten just from walking around. So welcome to Big Brother, Indy. There's a long discussion in the kitchen with Daniel and Joseph and Turner, others talking about their religious beliefs, kind of coming out to their parents about what they believe versus how they've been raised and some things like that. It's an interesting story. A little tough to keep up at times because a lot of conversations take place and everything, but a little bit of a discussion about that, and everyone seems very receptive to everyone else, and also I really enjoyed hearing that. We've got Alyssa and Palomar. All right, now I told you most of the conversation was just let's get to know each other kind of deal. Some people playing a little more strategy right off the bat, such as Alyssa and Paloma. We have our first final 2. Alyssa and Paloma, both backstage ladies this particular week, have decided that they need to be working together. They've already got their final 2 alliance name as well, the Scorpio Girls. Is that based on astrological signs or just that they're going to sting anyone who gets in there? I don't know, but welcome to the Scorpio Girls, our first final 2, Alyssa and Paloma. They're talking about an 8-person alliance, but really it would be 6 people with bringing a couple of people in as kind of hanger-ons or whatever. The names I hear mentioned initially, Paloma and Alyssa, obviously, along with Jasmine, Pooch, Monty, and Kyle. So an alliance of 6 people. And then I think they want to bring in a few extras as well as kind of associate alliance members. So there you go. It starts early, guys. There's always a few who want to start playing the game very aggressively from night number 1. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We've got Pooch and Monty talking about studying dates, helping each other. There's no alliance here or anything, but I do feel like they're just kind of they're feeling each other out and receptive to each other. But they are talking about how hard it's going to be to remember all the dates and everything. So they're going to help each other out a little bit. That's Pooch and Monty. We've got Indy and Brittany and Paloma and Alyssa talking. Brittany has confirmed with the diary room that the backstage girls can't be nominated this week. So they're excited about that. Indy is suggesting to these girls saying, look, we need to stick together. We know how well a girls alliance works, right? But Indy is saying we need to stick together this year. And the other girls, of course, are saying, oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure. Now, here's the thing. Will Alyssa and Paloma keep this secret? Or they want this other alliance that's mixed gender. Are they going to basically throw Indy under the bus as a way to bring some of these guys in closer to them and such? I don't know yet. We'll find out. But certainly India has thrown up the idea of a girls' alliance, and we'll see how that works. We've got Daniel finally. No one that I'd seen had talked directly to the cameras yet until Daniel starts. He's in the HOH room, his HOH room alone. About 2:00 or so, Big Brother time. First one to talk directly to the cameras, and he's got a lot to say. He mentions the fact that he tried out for 10 years straight, how cool it is to be in the house. He's not sure when nominations are, so obviously Big Brother hasn't told them yet. I think it's going to be Friday, but we'll see. Not sure when noms are going to be. He wants to talk to Nicole. He feels like Nicole is his tightest person in the house that he wants to work the most with. I didn't ever see him talk to her last night, so maybe that conversation hasn't taken place. I think he needs to talk to her before too long, but it sounds like really Daniel wants to grab Nicole and grab her as a final two, ride or die. I'm not sure how formal it'll be, but certainly the one he wants to work with the most. Talks about some other house guests. He thinks Kyle is cool. Alyssa's cool. Mentions Paloma. Says, yeah, she's cool, but she's maybe too young. Paloma's 22. I think she's the youngest one in the house. He says she may be a little too young. I don't know that I can really read her and depend on her as well as some of the others. But he likes Kyle. He likes Alyssa. He likes Paloma. He thinks that he may have to be a little careful with Taylor and Indy. He describes them both as firecrackers, that he maybe needs to make sure he stays on their good side and such. He's really hoping that someone does something to just alienate everyone in the house or make him mad. Someone that does something that gives him an excuse to put them on the block. And I think that's what every HOH person is looking for at the beginning of the season. I don't know if he'll get it. He may. The way some of these people play the game, he very well may. But that's why he's hoping for, to make his job just a little bit easier. He talks about Terrence, and I was glad to hear this. He says, Terrence, pretty funny guy. And not only is he funny and everyone likes him, but he's also not a threat. And he says, I think Terrence needs to stay. All right, Terrence, it looks like maybe you're going to be okay. So we've got that. And he mentions that Brittany is really sweet. Remember, Brittany and Daniel spent a lot of time talking downstairs. He said, Brittany's really sweet, but she's also very easy to put on the block this week. Yeah, I think Brittany is... Brittany could see the block a few times early in the season. Not because of anything she's done, but just every season it seems like there's one or two people that just are easy to go on the block, whether it's pawns or targets, either one. I think that may be Brittany's role this year. There's talk about the dishwasher in the kitchen. Now, first of all, I didn't have any dishwasher whatsoever during my season, but they now have a dishwasher, but they don't think it's working from a water supply standpoint. It's mentioned that, hey, we can use it to dry stuff, but we can't use it to actually wash the dishes. I have a feeling someone in the Big Brother production just may have forgotten to hook up a hose or something. At some point, I bet they get a working dishwasher. Pretty cool. I didn't get a dishwasher during my season, so I'm a little bit envious of these guys. All right, more conversation with Paloma and Alyssa. They're wanting the Girls Alliance, but they're wanting it outside their real alliance. They've got this idea, this group of 6 or so, and then have the Girls Alliance as kind of a backup plan just to keep some other people roped in as well. Lots of conversation about who they want to work with, who they don't want to work with. They're both worried about Taylor. Some discussion about how Taylor was a little condescending in her discussion or talking to them after one of them dropped a pineapple on the floor. I didn't see it. I don't really get it, but they're worried about Taylor, not really seeming to fit in with her. They talk about that they want to get her into showmance, maybe showmance with Monty, and then vote her and Monty or whoever the showmance is out as an excuse or something. But they're really not sold on Taylor. They also don't really trust Amira. They think Jasmine would be loyal, and they say that they need her, but they think she's a bit of a weak link, probably can't win a lot. A lot of assumptions being made here that may not always be correct, but they're trying to size up everyone, figure out who they want to bring in, who they don't. They mentioned that they don't think that they need Daniel. So it's interesting. Most seasons, whoever wins that first HOH, you get everyone coming to that person trying to get on their good side, maybe proposing some alliances, doing everything you can to get in good with the HOH. We didn't really see that last night. Everyone seems to, Daniel kind of was in his HOH room, not a lot of game talk. So in the absence of that, there's a lot of some planning and conspiring and such going on that don't involve Daniel. And here we see the two girls saying that they don't think they need Daniel. He can do his own thing. We later have Paloma talking to Indy, Amira, and Brittany in the Jetsons room. I still don't know how to describe that. A bunch of neon colors. It's the very back bedroom. But Paloma's talking about that. She's saying that she thinks this backstage position that she's in is too good to be true. Says she can't be nominated. She can't be put up as a replacement pawn. She's wondering what the downside is that they don't know about. She does mention that maybe America is voting for us in some form or manner. We are. You get 10 votes a day. And so if you haven't done so, go out to CBS.com. You can vote for which of the 3 backstage ladies you want to save. She mentioned maybe America's voting somehow, or that being a backstage, maybe there could be some kind of competition that could lead to a 3rd nominee, something like that. Paloma and Alyssa mentioned that earlier, said maybe the 3 of us have to compete and whoever loses becomes a nominee. And they feel pretty comfortable if that's the case, that they could both beat Brittany. And so they should be safe. We'll see. We've got most of the guys along, I think, with Nicole and Taylor are upstairs. Man, this evening just went on and on. Poor Terrence. I feel for you, brother. I know what it's like. Terrence is one of a few that you can just see him dragging. As the night goes on, you just see the dark circles just forming instantaneously under Terrence's eyes. He's trying to do everything he can to stay awake, keep up with everyone, but he's ready to go to bed. But no one wants to be the first person to go to bed on night number 1. And as a result, we've got all the guys upstairs in that lounge, tiki bar room area, watching, playing pool. Nicole and Taylor up there. Also, the rest of the girls are all downstairs talking in one of the bedrooms. They start talking about this group of 6 girls that are down there. And saying how they could be tight, they could work together and such. But Paloma mentions again that she wants to bring in some guys also. She doesn't think that just the ladies by themselves is enough. So she wants to bring in the guys also. The 6 of them actually start talking about Taylor. Remember, we had that conversation before. They start talking about Taylor again and saying they're a little worried about her. They're not sure they can work with her and all that. Taylor's upstairs bonding with a lot of the guys and maybe not realizing that all the ladies are downstairs kind of conspiring against her a little bit. But they do mention that they're worried about her a little bit. Eventually, Jasmine has come down or is down there. I say come down. Jasmine is part of the group, and she goes upstairs to act as a little bit of a spy, see what's going on upstairs. But later, I think at one point, Taylor comes down. Taylor actually stands outside the door and tries to listen for just a second. Eventually comes in and says hi. So we're certainly seeing a little bit of a division here. Later, we've got Indy, who's in bed. She's trying to go to sleep. It's not working. But Indy's in bed. She's talking to Alyssa. And they start talking a little bit about the idea that Indy's agreeing with Alyssa that they probably need to bring in a couple of guys. And it sounds like they've more or less settled on maybe bringing in Monty, bringing in Kyle into the alliance. And again, maybe that's we'll see. I'm not sure at this point if this is part of the girls alliance, part of this other alliance, some overlap, what. But these are 2 guys that they think they could probably work with, maybe could be good partners in the alliance itself. Eventually, we've got Pooch and Turner and Kyle heading to bed. And at that point, I give up. Last time I checked, lights are still on everywhere. People are laying in bed, but lights are on everywhere. They're going to be up all night long. They're in the morning already, so we'll see what happens. So what is going to happen? Well, I'm guessing that today they'll probably be allowed to sleep in until 10 o'clock Big Brother time, which is the latest anyone ever gets to sleep. They'll be woken up at 10. You stay up all night long and it eventually wears on you, which Big Brother probably likes. You may have people with a little bit shorter fuses this morning, a little more irritable folks, which leads to a little bit more chaos. But I don't think there'll be I don't think there'll be nominations today, no competitions that I know of. In non-COVID seasons, this would be the day that you'd probably go in the backyard and do photo shoots for swimming pool shots, things like that. I don't know how it's going to work with everyone avoiding some outside exposure and all that. They may get in the backyard, do some shots and things like that, and then get it shut down in time to get set up for veto competition, which I envision probably will happen on Saturday. I expect that you'll have nominations on Friday, veto competition on Saturday, veto ceremony on Monday, and that'll take us right into your normal Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday cycle of episodes. The main thing that they're probably going to have a lot of today, a whole lot of diary room sessions throughout the entire day as producers get all the content they need for for Sunday's episode. So there you have it, guys. A lot of conversation, most of it just shaking hands and how are you doing? And let's get to know each other. But some alliance talk, a final two as well. So it's starting fast and it's only going to pick up speed as we go forward. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a great season. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Now, for those of you who haven't done so already, please go out to my YouTube channel, sign up, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and that way every morning when I drop the episode recap, you'll get notification. You'll know it's sitting out there for you, and I absolutely appreciate it if you do. I thank you for being on board with me. It's going to be a fun season. It's going to be great, and I'm going to be there as much as I can. God, please let these people start going to bed just a little bit earlier. But until then, I got a whole lot of coffee, and I'm ready to let y'all know everything that happens overnight. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Thursday. I will be back tomorrow morning to give you another recap, see what's going on. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye. Have a great one. Bye.